Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to the new Being Hypnosis channel. My name is Troy J. Bacon, and I'm a quantum hypnotherapist and Reiki healer. All my work is like in the quantum realm, mostly with the aura, the spirit, um, soul contracts. I do a lot with past lives. That's usually a major element in my healings. And today I'm excited to welcome Krystal Kelley on this episode of Quantum Credo Corner. And she is a friend of mine I've known for a while. Started as kind of a friend of a friend, and we've gotten to know each other. And we're going to be talking about probably two or three different topics today, primarily the web of life and sharing our knowledge, kind of bouncing off from each other of our knowledge of the web of life and what that is, from our understanding and how that works, as well as possibly near-death experiences, other consciousness topics. So let's get into it, Krystal.
Awesome. Well, Troy, thank you very much. I really am grateful to be on your show and speaking with you. It's always a good time and usually insightful. I think we have parallel experiences that oftentimes can confirm or align. So yeah, it's great to chat with you.
Likewise.
So, I know you mentioned the web of life. Do you want to start with like your interpretation of it, or do you want I don't know, like, because it's like such a big topic. Like, how do we jump off that?
Yeah, that is quite a large topic by itself. I had some other questions written up, but let's just get into it. So my understanding of the web of life is a bit complex. I still plan to kind of write it out and delineate it, um, probably publish it in a book someday. It's also integrated into my hypnotherapy and Reiki healings. Sometimes they bleed together. I also sometimes include basically Reiki, um, energy healing. Hypnosis is pretty much energy healing anyway, but include that in my sessions. And so I'll get into how at least the Mantis beings taught it to me. And they taught it to me in a download, actually before my walk-in. And so they gave um, him or me this download of teaching me. I think they'd actually been teaching me and him our whole life in this body from childhood about this concept. Um, but the download basically started to explain to me that the the mind, the energy body, in all of its intricacies of chakras and energy channels and meridians and such, um, and the emotions, as well as even other levels such as soul contracts, past lives, a person's soul, their unique purpose, um, their beliefs, and there's probably many other aspects I could go into about that, but basically they're all connected. Um, as the Mantis beings see them, they're not separate things, not separate aspects of ourselves. And even a person's metabolism, a person's cognition, all the little things that we see and can measure about their body does directly correlate with the energy body and the emotions and how patterns in those really make up a person throughout their life, change them, maybe either in their genetics and energy and um, also past lives and soul and trauma and other things contribute to either them gaining perhaps weight, developing certain health conditions. Some may be inherited from ancestors, but still energy patterns. Um, some are also syndromes, what we would call body syndromes that pop up within a person's lifetime, but essentially caused by their will or not, usually not um, by their patterns, their energy patterns within this web of life concept that connects them. And another component of the teaching that they essentially reminded me or him of is really the tangible, what they see as tangible mechanics of the web of life. And I think this is really kind of a good linchpin of my understandings and teachings from other people I've heard of
Mhm.
basically this concept of the web of life that connects us. But they taught me about energy strings,
Mhm.
and they're kind of like energy filaments that connect every single molecule, every cell, every particle, um, even every organ, um, perhaps every chakra, part of a person's energy and mind, and also intentions, um, but connects everything.
Mhm.
And this is something that I think they taught me actually in childhood. This is part of my sole purpose, I believe, and why I came here as a soul and then a walk into, but to understand this mechanics and teach it. And as a child, I remember like being driven to school and just looking out the window, passing everything by or watching everything pass by, however you want to describe that. But then wondering to myself how we can be passing, like driving and passing by everything without affecting all of the other little molecules and particles of everything, um, or people and things, um, if we are connected and have these energy strings basically connecting us.
Mhm.
And I was wondering also how we can be moving in such a way without like tearing things apart and moving things. And I think that's something they taught me to do also on ships. But yeah, that's kind of the concept is these, I think there's sixth and seventh dimensional in nature energy strings that connect everything.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
also want to say they're not just constantly affecting everything. It's the self, the will, intention, energy from us. Um, you could describe it in many ways, but that kind of activate and connect, like travel through these strings that
Mhm.
connect everything.
Yep.
And so that's how they become activated when something in us becomes activated.
Yeah, I think essentially I was downloaded a vision. I see things more than when I see the vision, then there's like a knowing that comes over me of how it works. I don't know if
Mhm.
that makes sense, but the vision was a golden grid, and it's an electromagnetic grid that is full of electricity, and it's a grid that's multidimensional within 12 dimensions. And that grid, and we are a part of the grid. We are these little like electrical currents as well. And those currents run through through our DNA down to even, us, even a spiritual level. And and the thing that I think that a lot of people don't understand is that our DNA can actually be manipulated, and it can be manipulated by our thoughts and our minds, and we have the ultimate power of healing. And so, as electromagnetic creatures living on in an electromagnetic universe on an electromagnetic planet, um, when we move around, as you're saying, in on the planet, in the universe, in this galaxy, as we move around, even through dimensions, when we pass through dimensions, we have our charge, whatever that charge is, and it can change throughout our lifetimes, past lives, current lives. Um, Time exists all at the same time within this like golden grid. And the vision that I saw was that there was a lot of parts of the grid that were not glowing. They were dark. And in my vision, a lot of little tiny parts of the grid all over. Like if you imagine like a sphere and it's like inside, outside on the like everywhere, all these little like lights started pinging. And then all of a sudden it was like, and the grid lit up and was all the whole thing was glowing and shining. Um, and so I believe that that's what my mission is to try to light up the grid. And I think we do that on an individual level by inspiring people to do what lights them up. You know, I think everybody has their own separate mission and a different part of the grid, and we're all kind of interconnected and connected, like actually electromagnetically connected to everything. In all different dimensions, not just what we perceive as humans, you know. We're multidimensional beings. So that's how that's what I was that's what I saw. That's like the download, I guess. I think download is the best way to describe those visions that pop into my head.
Um, but yeah, I would say also that downloads, the more I've gotten them, and other conscious experiences too, with like telepathy in my mind, I've just felt that it's all very mechanical. It happens in the same way pretty much every time, um, almost always with my eyes closed. But yeah, even then, in that state, when I'm receiving a download with my eyes closed, I see things, the images of, and sometimes colors. Sometimes,
Mhm.
by the way, the um this big web of life concept that was taught or reminded to me by the mantis beings, when they gave me that in November of 2018, it was, I mean, download probably is the best way to describe it, because it really is kind of like a massive just download to your computer, of all kinds of information. And I don't know how the computer perceives that, if it really does, if we can say that. But I saw a color that I've never seen on Earth before in the download, and that's pretty much what I saw of it. But then there's also this extra knowing, complex knowing. But yeah, anyway, I would say your description of the golden grid is sounds accurate and sounds congruent with what I've learned and experienced. Definitely, the Earth has a magnetic and electromagnetic grid. For many years on this planet, people have been measuring ley lines and um, magnetic, electromagnetic lines on the planet, kind of like rivers, if you will, that
Mhm.
run through the Earth, and many of them connect. Um,
Mhm.
and where they connect, there's ley line currents, and so that's kind of like the grid of the Earth, as I
It's like
understand it.
the Earth has a chakra body as well.
It does, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
also how many indigenous, very ancient indigenous cultures have described it too,
Mm.
is like snakes or rivers, and like yeah, like the life energy of the earth, just like how life energy flows through us. It's that same thing. But yeah, I would say the earth's grid has been very traumatized in many places for a long time. I've done a lot of work with a friend I've gotten in touch with in Virginia, across the the country, and she's very much in the ghost and um, paranormal, but especially like ghostly realm as a budding psychic. And I've done a lot of work in, just from Washington, where I am, healing work in Virginia, of certain spots and lands that she has um, essentially connected me to, where there's been a lot of well, paranormal activity and ghosts, but a lot of it has been traumatized, deceased people,
Hmm.
many of whom, though, died like 200 years ago,
Hmm.
um, many in coal mine explosions or similar things in train wrecks and all kinds of things back in the early history of the United States.
Hmm. Um,
So,
I I wanted to, before we move off the grid, conversation, like before we move on to
mhm,
something else, there's one thing I wanted to say about an experience I had with the grid when I was in Egypt that I think is a, an important thing that happened a few days before when we first, so I was there in 2022. So wait, yeah, I think it was 2022 or it was in December. Um, and not this last year. So yeah, it was 2022. Um, but anyway, when we first landed, we went and just visited the Great Pyramid, but did not go inside of it. Just like felt the energy. We went at sunrise to the Sphinx when there were no other people there, and just felt the energy there of and connected with the grid. And then we traveled around for 3 weeks and went down the Nile and did a bunch of things. But then the very last night that we were there as a group together, and I didn't know any of these other energy workers prior to going, but we were clearly on the same soul mission. And they were from all over the world. And most of them were sound healers. And the very last morning when the sun rose, we went to the great chamber and went inside the king's chamber. Um, and we did sound healing inside the king's chamber. Well, 2 nights before we were there, we slept on a riverboat on the Nile for 9 days, and I was asleep on the river. And a dream came to me of all of us in the king's chamber in a circle. And there we have like a gold soul star that kind of like hovers over our head. And each
mhm,
of us, our soul stars were like lighting up or blinking, and then as the frequencies as the sound was coming from each individual person, the stars were like slowly migrating towards the center of the room, and like right below the peak of the pyramid. And that the when those soul stars came together in the middle, if you were looking down on it, you would see, I don't know if you know what the grid of the circle of life looks like,
mhm,
but that's what it looked like. That was the pattern that it showed from all of us going to the center. And then all of a sudden that all those lights were like just like went super like magnified bright, like way brighter than the sum of all of it. It just went really bright, and it went and literally went shot straight up to the middle of the Pleiades, like right in the center. And I looked it up, and the pyramids align with the Pleiades. And so I told the organizer in my of the group of my dream, and I said I was given a meditation to to do in the Great Pyramid. And I said, I can teach you the meditation if you want, but I think we should do it because it was a very strong message. And she just looked at me and she goes, well, why don't you just lead the meditation? So when we were in the Great Chamber, I led us in the meditation of using our gold stars to create this circle of life, this pattern, and to reconnect with that grid in from our planet to other planets that we have connections with. And so so that's what we did. And I think since I think a lot of other people are getting similar messages. I know I mentioned to my mentor, she's a Navajo wisdom keeper, about the meditation that I led in the pyramid, and she said that she was also given that same meditation. And what I described to her was the full one, and she had only told me the very beginning of it, like when I first met her in 2011. So it was kind of cool that we had the same message, and it arrived to us in our own ways. So
I also want to kind of revert back to something else you said earlier when you were describing the golden grid and um, kind of how it activates and connects as we activate. And I have to say that I I feel that it's very powerful. I think one of the real kind of truths of why we're here, as well as a very powerful practice to really get in touch with your soul's purpose, learn that, understand it, and embody it. And whenever I have been writing, doing my creative writing work in my novel trilogy, quite often it's when I do more of that, my creative work, that I tend to see just like tears in the air, little um, blips of light, little specks come in and out. Have also some more spiritual experiences, like just of beings that that just appear, typically light, though, is what I see them as. And I think they're definitely higher density, which is why they don't just like hang out and we see them for a long time. Um, but yeah, I think that's a powerful aspect is whatever you do, it doesn't have to be creative writing, but whatever you do to really ignite, to light up and follow your soul's mission and purpose and do that work, I feel that that like my guides have described it when I do my creative writing, that's like one of the best ways I can clear and activate more of my energy to like get things moving. And then I feel that when we activate our energy bodies, then that also is very attractive to higher dimensional beings, especially those of us who resonate more with them. But yeah, I feel they hang out with us more, help us more. What do you say to that?
I agree 100%. I think that when when you're doing things that light you up, it can be a gamut of things. Like I like to paint, I like to make things, I like to build things, I like to write, I like to walk in nature, I like to swim. I like to do a whole bunch of things that light me up. It's not just like one thing, but like
Hmm.
the more I do of those activities, um, energetically, the better I feel. Like I actually rarely get sick. I even if I'm around sick people, it's like very, I mean, knock on wood, I'm not gonna I'm not like saying that I won't get sick because I do sometimes, but it's been a very long time that I've come down with even a cold. Um and I think that when we're embodying our soul mission, we are that ultimately the happiest that we are because I mean, why else would we be here? We volunteered to be here. So obviously we want to come here and have some fun, like and do things that we love and that bring us joy. And so like the more joy and the more love and happiness that you have in your life, the just I don't know, you can just feel lighter. You have so much, to share. And I think that that in turn sparks other people to hopefully like find their joy because everybody's got their own way of finding it. And then I believe that that when we are vibrating at this higher frequency, the higher so the way I understand dimensions is like if the you can it's very easy to see the dimensions below like down, and I'm not saying one's higher or lower, it's just it's easy to see the dimensions that you've already passed through, but it takes a lot of energy to get up to the next
Hmm.
vibration. So once you kind of so imagine these beings like whatever you call them, like angels or aliens or extraterrestrials or what I don't know, whatever words you use to describe these higher dimensional beings. I believe that when they see you kind of accelerating faster, they're looking back and saying, "Oh, like they want to cheer you on because they want their joy too," like so it's like I don't know. I guess maybe I'm an eternal optimist, but I think that our ultimate like soul mission is always to be joyous and spread like harmony and love and all those things that light you up. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I like envision it.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, definitely. It is that that activity and that makes you passionate, makes you happy, that I believe is yeah, kind of the purpose of why we're here as souls is to enjoy that. There's actually a lot that we can do in these bodies that we can't do when we're disincarnated.
Yeah.
Of course, every disincarnated soul kind of can only access the dimensions they learned to when they're alive and such, or at all. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot that we can do here. There's a lot that we can create. These bodies allow us to channel, and part of my creative writing I've learned actually is like a type of channeling. I listen to the book as it's speaking to me and giving me the next scenes and then more ideas, and um, it works with me. And so I think that's really part of the creative process is channeling. That's also why we have this creative ability is because creativity is a form of channeling, whether you realize it or not. But I've also learned that those of us who are more like spiritually awakened, some of us, and those of us who can channel just like direct information from spirit or spirits, that creative ability does facilitate that, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's also why another reason why I see more spirits, like little tears and lights around me, while and after I do a lot of my creative writing work because it's channeling. And not only they're attracted to that energy, but I feel that some of them may actually be contributing to
Mm.
the the creative basically channeling and development of my book. Definitely, I've noticed that as I write my book more and more, my trilogy, the story, then more things tend to line up in my life. Sometimes I see reflections of like objects and characters I've written in my life. Synchronicities happen more that way. And yeah, I think that's one of the ways that our energy in the energy body and just as we are and as we become activated, that sends signals basically throughout the web of life, and connects all of life and connects us all.
When I
Um,
was,
go
oh,
ahead.
good. Oh, I was going to say, when I was a young child, I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, and my grandpa Jay, he told me that, Krystal, when you write something down, it's 80% done. And I remember thinking that, like, as a kid, like 80% done, and
Hmm.
I was a little kid. I didn't even really know what percentages were. I just kind of saw it as like if there was like a circle and it was 80% full, it would be mostly full. Do you know what I mean? Like filled in or
Yeah.
whatever. That's how I kind of saw it in my head. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. Like that means there's only a little tiny bit left to actually do. You know what I mean? So like when
Hmm.
you write something down, it it more than activates your thought. It like amplifies your thought. And
Hmm.
then when you write it down, you're probably more likely to speak it out loud. Then like it has this like ripple effect, and then you take action on that thought because you said it, because you like motivate yourself to do it. So I don't know, like it was a crazy concept as a child to think like, whoa, if I write something down, it's 80% done. And so I used to start writing like really far-fetched things to see if they could happen when I was little. Like, and the really wild thing is a lot of the things that I would write down have happened to me. And they're things that I would be like, there's no way that could happen. And then all of a sudden, this like far-fetched dream I have like actually came to fruition. So it's like, write down those dreams, write down those stories, write down what you want to happen because it probably will at some
Wow,
point.
I love that. Yeah, I feel that's very true. Thank you for sharing, Krystal. Um, as we close, how can people contact you for any,
Yeah.
if you're open to
Um,
that?
so I have my like all my socials set to crystallized mind with a K. So like whether on Instagram I'm crystallized mind, on YouTube I'm at crystallized mind. Um and then my website is krystalkelley.com, and I have a blog and links to like my books and my projects that I work on. Like if something's lighting me up, I've got this big project coming up this year, and I'm excited. It's probably about 6 months away from being able to like actually unveil it, I guess. But it's in the works, and it seems like every day the right person is coming into my life that is helping pave the way for this dream to happen. So I'm hopeful that that can happen this year. And yeah, thank you so much, Troy, for having me on. It's been really fun to chat, and I love the web of life. Like uh yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It definitely is. Yeah, something that connects us, and I think it's important for all of us to understand it. So again, my name is Troy J. Bacon. I'm a hypnotherapist and Reiki practitioner. I do most of my work um, digitally, virtually, by distance, usually on Zoom. And you can find me at newbeinghypnosis.com. What I'm really called to do is help people work through their traumas, their fears, phobias, blockages, any limiting patterns, ancestral patterns, perhaps. And once we do some healing work, usually it takes only a few sessions, if that, to get through that, then my calling is to really help individuals as they feel called and ready to activate to their soul's purpose. And
Yeah.
I teach my clients also how to work with soul contracts. That's like my self-taught thing, soul contract work, and that pairs well with past life regression and yeah, the past life and soul healing. So newbeinghypnosis.com is where you can find me. New Being Hypnosis is my YouTube channel. Go
Oh,
ahead,
can I
Krystal.
say how your practice helped me?
Yes,
Just
of
really
course.
briefly. So, you helped me with some regression hypnosis and helped me connect with my star family, which has been such a gift and a blessing for me to have that connection back because I, had I think we all get very disconnected, and so the sessions that you were able to bring me through really reinitiated that contact, and then I've been able to cultivate and grow that relationship that I have with my soul family. So that's how you help me, and I just want to say that I'm very grateful for your work that you do, because it can be really full.
Thank you for sharing, Krystal. Yeah, that is like my basically who I am and my soul's purpose as I'm here as a walk-in. My walk-in aspect really is connected to the Galactic Federation and kind of a specific division of that or a wing of it, if you will. Uh, I think of it as like a faction of it with our little group. But anyway,
I'm a
that's
broadcaster for the Galactic Federation, so I totally understand.
yeah, we have that connection too.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm coming from. And I'm here to help. This is why I'm here at this age I am in during this change period and these changing times on Earth, is to help with this awakening, even one person at a time,
Yeah.
and yeah, just contribute to the awakening process as Earth is moving towards preparations toward the golden age.
Yeah.
So thank you
Love
again,
it.
Krystal. It has
Thank
been a
you,
pleasure
Troy.
to talk with you and yeah, get to know your understandings and share understandings of the web of life.
It's been great. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All
You as well, Krystal.
right. Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye.